Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st Millennium. I am Inquisitor Caveat Ventus, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesys adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee, Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Laura Elizabeth as a new character, and Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Vis. My report shows that the Inquisitor's band are resisting a gang of Nobs at a terrible cost. Attikus unleashed a rad grenade and the Inquisitor blasted away with his pistol, but Marni was struck dead after killing a Nob. Can Valentyne and Attikus survive alone behind enemy lines? Find out in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
On Imperial weapon distribution and requisition. Now, we are trusting you with this, one of the greatest weapons in the arsenal of man. It can destroy both the heretic and the Xenos with tremendous ability, fervor, joy even. The joy of the Emperor's wrath. That said, plasmatic weapons are incredibly rare and are to be held at all costs. Should they fall into the enemy, as has occurred occasionally with the forces of chaos, humanity shall find its greatest sword turned against it. So whatever you do, don't fucking lose the gun. Marni falls. Valentyne prays. Attikus looks at the remaining troops, the Nob who's crawling and the one standing over the chasm, the side of the cliff face where Marni has fallen. And Attikus, you notice the Nob begin to move. Now, Laura, there is a mechanic in Genesys for story points that is different from the one we've used to this point. Not different, but an additional thing you can use story points for, called the Deus Ex Machina. Those of us who know our Latin and know our theater know that this means God in the machine, and usually refers to literally God coming in on a zip cord at the end of a play that can't end any other way and being like, I solved it for you.
Yeah, like Sting.
Yeah, exactly like Sting.
Or Gandalf.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
Many options. So one of the ways you can spend story points in a Genesys system is to force a Deus Ex. Now, the catch here is that the Deus Ex can't be like, okay, Red 5, start your attack run on the Death Star. I would like to spend a story point to detonate the Death Star. No good. But you could be like, I spend it to have Han Solo show up and cover my back. You still need to make the shot, but at least Han Solo's got your back. Also, spoilers for A New Hope, everyone. I know that's streaming now on Disney Plus, and everyone's still getting caught up, but like, spoilers.
If you started at 1, you're not making it to 4.
Wait, you just saying the prequels are not a good time? So all that to say that well, you can't spend a story point to like magically be cured and alive. You can spend it to force an intervention that might buy you some time. Currently, we are sitting at 2 and 3 in favor of you guys. So you do have points to spend, which unfortunately you didn't have during the great lyric and alto fiasco of Ott a couple weeks ago. So
Tyler's having a moment of silence.
Yep. So I think I know the answer to this, but Laura, would you like to spend a story point?
I don't know. Yeah.
Cool.
Obviously.
Imagine if she just said no. We're just like, well, now we got to pause for her to go build a fucking character.
Totally fair.
Back tomorrow.
So, Laura, as you black out, stumble backward and fall, you still firmly have in your mind a prayer to the Emperor to save you, and you're still sure they will. Meanwhile, if you'll remember from the end of last episode, Valentyne is also singing a hymn to the Emperor to save you. But the Emperor doesn't save you. An orc does. which raises a bunch of real problematic questions about Imperial theology. As the furious orc who attacked you sees a prize that all Nobs have been told to keep an eye out for, and one that would truly, perhaps even help her become a war chief. She sees your plasma gun, a truly great prize for any orc, any Xenos, and technology that the orcs legitimately can't safely replicate. So as you fall, she leaps out and grabs it. Good news is it's attached to you, so you're now dangling from your gun, unconscious with a blade deep in your chest. But Attikus, you see this happen, and you see the orc put on the brakes, and it's a full-on like John McClane hanging by his MP5 out the window in Die Hard kind of situation, where the orc is clearly struggling to pull the gun free. Laura, can you clarify for me? Is the plasma gun attached to? Does it have like a power pack, or does it have? Is it just on like yeah, it's attached to the power pack. Great, that's what I thought.
So it's basically like it is kind of attached to me because it's
that's what I figured. So you're dangling free from that, unconscious and bleeding out. Your we'll say was it your? You also have a melta gun, I believe.
Hell gun.
You have a hell gun.
I have a hell gun.
Okay. We'll say it's your. Were you wearing a helmet? I forget. Yeah. I know you have one. Okay. Yeah. We'll say it's your helmet that falls. Valentyne established at the end of last episode he heard a thump. Keep in mind, spending story points for Deus Exes means your character might survive, but I guarantee you they're not going to look the same or have the same shit coming out the other end. So. Your helmet falls. Valentyne hears a telltale like metallic like clunk 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 and ends his prayer there. Good news
he
is
just yells for Marni, and then he sees you dang and he goes, "Oh wait, grab that orc!" It's just immediate left turn as he sees this twist for him and us. So you're dangling. Attikus, what do you do? Valentyne is probably too fucked up to do much of anything as he continues to push inside bits back inside.
I don't want this thing to fire a plasma gun at us. Is there any way?
Swear to God, if you shoot that orc and make me fall, I have a fucking.
It's an option.
Let me ask you how viable this would be, Tom. If I can grab for Marni with one hand. And shove the orc off into the chasm with the other. Just a little kind of switcheroo. Is that something that I can attempt?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to need from you, sir. Well, actually, I should probably ask you which of these two. So this is a two-hand task. Which one are you using your giant power fist for? Is it grabbing Marni or the orc?
It's going to be for the orc. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So I assume, Tyler, the skill associated with that is melee heavy. Is that correct?
Melee light.
Oh, dang.
Heavy is considered two-handed weapons in this game. I finally went and looked at it because I was like, how the fuck does that work?
Right. Okay. I got you. Okay. So we'll call this a melee light check then. And then I'm also going to need an athletics to drag Marni up.
For the sake of visual, Tyler, just because I want to ask, are you throwing the shield aside to free up the second hand? Are you putting it behind your back?
The way I've imagined the suppression shield, and you can correct me on this, but I thought it was something that you could like deploy from your arm. Is that too science fiction-y for 40K? I don't know. You've got
a robot arm. You're a mechanicus thing. You're pretty well equipped. I mean, it's Tom's call, but
yeah, I would say largely because I just don't love the idea of you having to carry around a riot shield. We'll say it's one of those sort of telescoping ones that kind of like slots up.
Yeah.
I will say
it would fall like just like fold out like a bounce, like a light bounce kind of thing. Just,
yeah. So it won't be. It's definitely not going to be energy. It'll just be metal because that reads as more, particularly Imperium 40K for me. If we were talking like Eldar or Tau, like Tau particularly, it'd be like, yeah, it's a laser shield. But for I think the Imperium, particularly for like a rank and file soldier, it would be pretty extraordinary for an Imp Guard to be handed an energy shield. So telescoping pop up. So we can say as you're running it.
Say follow-up question then: is it inside the power fist arm, so your shield or fist, or is your other arm mechanical?
I've always thought of it as it's on my offhand, and I deploy it from my offhand.
Yeah, so it's a gauntlet. It's not built in. It's we'll say it's like almost like a Mandalorian gauntlet. Like it's a big bulky metal thing that just holds the telescoping thing. Because I don't know, in terms of like, I love the idea of shield or fist. But at the same time, for a guy whose whole combat style is around punching things with that giant fist, it would make no sense to me to be like, oh no, shit, okay, back off. Okay, now I can punch you. Yeah. So yeah, we'll say offhand. That said, I do want to just flag for like all of us to keep in mind for story purposes. That does mean that there are disadvantages that come with the riot shield, i.e. if you get charged too hard, you're still squishy behind it. Like if it's not on the metal arm, it's
got its own... Yeah, it's crappy at a bunch of stuff.
It's great, fantastic. So that's all I wanted to clarify, because new characters and such. Great. So go ahead and roll those, Tyler. We're gonna say for let's do athletics first, because I think you would have to grab Marni before you could punch.
That's my thinking as well. Yeah, I want her as I want to have her secured so that I can shove the other. I'm not going to shove the other guy and then try to chase after Marni. Yeah. Secure Marni.
Yeah, you're not doing that weird Batman thing where you push two people off and then somehow you fall faster because you do that aerodynamic thing.
Pencil dive. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, so you're looking for athletics. Okay.
So against the knob, this is just grabbing Marni. Marni, what is your what's your brawn?
3.
Okay, so let's say a difficulty of 3. Marni's a big lady. She's also covered in armor, so this isn't an easy pull up. But luckily, you're a hardy and hail fellow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you 1 boost because the orc is currently also kind of pulling her up by pulling on the gun. So you've got a bit of upward momentum. Which is good. Yeah, I think that's probably it from me. Yeah. So 3 purple, 1 blue on my side. Anything anyone else wants to argue for?
I don't think Valentyne can really affect this from where he's at. He's a turn of running forwards away. So this is just... see how it plays out.
I'm pretty unconscious, so
I'm gonna roll.
This is true.
1 success, 2 advantages, 1 triumph.
Damn, man.
Had to negate a lot of failures and threats, but we got there.
Okay, that's a very solid roll, dude. Okay. So, sorry, you had 2 advantage?
2 advantages. 1 success, 2 advantage, 1 triumph.
Okay. Let's hang on to those for now. We'll say you can transfer the advantage to holds moving forward for your punch.
Okay.
I want to hang on to the triumph for now because I think that's going to be important to the next roll. But the good news is without threat or failure, you grab Marni fairly soundly. With 1 hand, and then you just crank back with that power fist.
All right. Hopefully, this will be potentially my first melee attack that connects. So let me find the
melee,
dice.
which is 2 purple.
Okay.
I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade 1 to a red, so it's 1 red, 1 purple. Okay. The knob has a melee defense of 1, so that adds 1 setback dice. So 1 black. I'm also going to add a setback for the knob. You can hear the crunching of the like big tin can like can opener claw as it's dragging itself towards you. So it's not directly on you, but it's enough that like there's a concern that the knob might get in.
Okay.
From your previous advantage, you've got 2 moving forward into this.
I'll use those.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's 2 boost. You have 2 story points available because I just spent one. We're at 2 and 3. So you can spend that to upgrade if you see fit. And yeah, I think that's that.
Okay. I would have to roll a lot of blank dice for this to go badly, given this spread. So I'm gonna hold off on the story points, I think.
That's good, because we'll use one of those when you get punched off the cliff to try to save you.
Well, that's also, is like story points as reactionary safety as opposed to spending them all on a punch that might just be okay on its own.
It's your party, pal.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready to roll.
Okay. Go ahead.
Fuck you. 6 successes, 4 advantages, 1 despair.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't a despair only equal to 3 failures?
But it triggers separate stuff. So
okay.
Basically, yes, in as much as it will not cause the check to fail, but despair can be used on my end to trigger things the same way you can use triumph on your end to trigger things.
Got it. Okay. That's right. That's why I was confused. So
I understand. Yeah.
3 success. Yeah.
Okay. So, Valentyne, you're watching this from your kind of like on one knee piece a little ways up. Tyler, describe this punch to me.
I would like to basically kill this orc before its feet leave the ground with a punch to just like the head. So I want to just go limp so there's as little resistance on it coming off of Marni's person as possible. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just one. I think I blindside this orc, and so it's just one giant power fist punch to the temple to hopefully just make this one go limp and just sail, just have the momentum carry it off into the chasm.
Great. So that 100% happens. You just like smack her, like just blind, just running like like getting hit by a fucking train. Just fist hits the side of the head. She goes arcing off. However, you did get that despair, unfortunately. So as she goes, her fingers tighten around the plasma gun, and that goes with her. Valentyne, you watch this happen, and you know that basically he's just punched an anchor off a cliff. You have one chance to make the shot that will separate the gun from the body and allow them to not have to all roll to try and stay together.
Yeah. I think Valentyne, because seeing the orc sailing away, it's rather than shooting for the attachment, which I think is too small, he's got to shoot for the gun, because if it'll blast, then he can then it'll take itself out and clear.
Fair enough. I will point out, I was worried this might happen. So the despair is that she's holding onto the gun. The triumph from Tyler's roll is that you can take this action.
Cool. All right. So what's my difficulty, Tom?
What are you shooting with?
I got my bolt pistol. So that be it.
So this is going to be a difficulty.
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I understand. This is going to be a difficulty of 4 then, because this is a hell of a shot to make.
Okay.
Given that all of the things that are happening at distance with a bolt pistol. So difficulty of 4. I'll give you 1 boost from Tyler's triumph. I think, Ryan, I'm going to give you 1 boost just based on desperation. Even though you technically technically, if you could just escape, I think Valentyne would just do that. But given that you're escaping into enemy territory, if you don't have these people with you, or at least one of them, you're pooched. And unfortunately, because Attikus is now holding on to Marni, if that orc drops, the odds are they might all go over, which would mean you're alone in a cavern.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, that's terrible.
So one boost for oh shit.
He's the boost of self-preservation.
Yeah, he's trying to shoot the plasma weapon to destroy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I reduce the difficulty with an ability of the Power Fist?
What is it?
It's called Sunder. You spend one advantage to activate it, and then you can basically damage enemy weapons. And since the orc is holding the plasma gun, doesn't that make it the orc's weapon?
Yep, I buy that.
So I had a pool of 4 advantage. I could spend all 4 to basically go from 1 to activate, 1 for minor damage, 1 for moderate damage, 1 for major damage. If I had a 5th one, it could just be destroyed. But could I just say that I have severely damaged this weapon to make it easier for him to finish it off?
So then, Ryan, let's upgrade. We can drop the difficulty by 1, or we can upgrade your dice by 1.
Let's drop the difficulty by 1. That feels.
The guy sitting on 6 successes and 1 despair. Drop the difficulty if you can.
Okay, so that's 3 purple then.
Yeah.
Just keep things interesting. I'm going to spend a story point to make one of those red.
Of course.
So now we're sitting at 3 and 2 in your favor.
Great.
I can spend no more story points on this action. And
I am going to spend a story point as well.
You don't say.
Because I want to give us the best odds that we can there. That's probably it. Yeah, there's nothing else. And I'm imagining having the high ground won't help me shoot a gun off a person.
I'm not George Lucas, so no.
Ah, nuts. I would have shot first. All right, let's just see what happens. 1 success, 2 advantage.
Excellent.
And the crit for a bolt pistol is 2. So crit.
So as the orc falls, we'll say, as like the power fist punch, because you weren't aiming for the gun, Tyler, I think what we'll say is as you come in, it's almost like a rising hook. So you still aim for the head, but as you go through, like the gun is just in the way, so it takes damage as you punch through. The orc falls backward, swinging out into the chasm, and in kind of a classic like video game character who's wounded on the ground trying to shoot to get second wind. Valentyne, you take aim and fire. The round arcs through the air, hits the damaged plasma gun, and with a resounding blast, the gun explodes, just pulping the orc and blasting Attikus back. I think as you fall backward, you pull Marni up with you, so her unconscious body is now kind of with you in on the ground. The knob gets like tossed a little bit back and is like punching the ground in rage as his internal organs continue to liquefy. The force of the explosion causes the cavern to tremble, and you begin to see heavy rock formations dropping from the ceiling. Behind you, Valentyne, you hear an earth-shattering, literally, crack as the crevice busts open, the sort of light of day spilling into the cavern, along with that beautiful fresh air that you could smell earlier. But in classic someone hit self-destruct and for some reason that makes a facility fall apart kind of ways, the cavern begins to collapse. So Attikus, it's up to you to get Marni and Valentyne out. Valentyne, you could probably limp your way out.
Oh yeah, Valentyne can move. He's been able to do that. Yeah, you just can't do anything.
So Attikus, for you, I think probably another athletics as the cavern begins to tremble, unless there's something else you want to make a case for.
I mean, no, athletics for physical exertion makes sense to me.
Great. So actually, I would take athletics or I'd take resilience. They're both brawn-based skills, but
Resilience.
I think athletics would be like, cool, I've got this. Throw over your shoulder, run. Resilience is the like, come on, soldier, you're not dying here. Grab and drag. It's a lot less elegant, but a little more about tenacity.
I think I'd probably go for fireman carry up over my shoulder, and because that's how you should carry someone who's incapacitated as opposed to dragging them.
Yeah, you drag them if they have their own gun and can shoot at the enemy while you're dragging.
Look, we play with characters with a wide variety of life experience, intelligence, and combat readiness. I'm just saying, I always got to ask, because in some of our games, it's a drag. It's put the gun in the unconscious person's hand and be like, cover me, and then
put the gun in their mouth and just be like, hold on to this and drag it. Yeah.
Snarf, snarf. You know what to
do. I have my dice pool put together, but
in terms of difficulty, I'm going to say difficulty of 3. I'm going to give you 1 boost from Valentyne. Would you be leaving, or would you be trying to guide him up and out?
Probably guiding. He needs the team with him. Yeah.
So one boost for Valentyne acting as your spotter, essentially telling you when like stalactites are falling from the ceiling, whichever the ceiling ones are falling.
Thanks. Yeah.
There you go.
You're correct.
But
on this planet, they're just called ceiling rocks.
Yeah, as the ceiling rocks fall. But that's it from me. You currently have 2 story points available to you.
I'll use one since we're making an escape and trying to save players. So I'll use one.
Wise decision. Okay, great. So that's it for me. Go ahead and roll.
One, 2, 3 green dice, 3 yellow dice, 1 blue dice, only 3 purples, and it's a wash. So cool.
Very cool.
I can never have enough goddamn dice.
Seriously, they're like total wash?
Neutral, just wash.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 of my positive dice came up blank. The other ones were washed out by the difficulty dice.
Wow, I've never seen that before.
Okay. So Tyler, Attikus gets cracked by some falling shit. Go ahead and take 3 wounds.
Does he get to soak those, Tom, or is it just 3?
Okay, I'm not taking into account your soak value unless we're having a big conversation about it. So a rock smashes off your back. It's up to you how much you shrug off based on what you've got. And Marni, I'm going to need a survival check from you, please.
Okie dokie.
Use that cunning, Marni.
My cunning. Yikes. All right. Sorry, what's my difficulty, Tom?
Difficulty of 2. And 1 setback because you've been out for a couple rounds. You have 1 story point available.
Yeah.
Sorry, hang on. This is a multi-system problem for me. This would be survival in another system. It should be resilience in this system.
Ooh, that's much better.
Yeah, it's weird how they use incredibly non-specific names, because you'd think survival would be about survival.
Survival makes sense here because it's like if you're out in the wilderness in this system, if you're out in the wilderness, can you build a lean? Like, can you build a like somewhere to hide? Do you know how to make a fire? Cunning. Whereas I think in D&D, survival is very much like it's cold. Can you tough through it? So yes, let's go with resilience.
Okay.
Which is just how tough is your body, given that you've got a blade inside you.
Let's find out.
That is nicer for her.
3 successes.
Good. Nothing changes. You're just not dead yet. All right. So, Tyler, how much did you actually take from the falling rocks?
0.
Nice. So you quickly throw the power fist up. Like a cool punchy umbrella, and it kind of bangs off of that, and as you twist, you make sure you take it on kind of the metal side of you so it doesn't hit Marni either, and then you continue your run. So last time we had it at 3 difficulty, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This time it will be at 2 because you're making progress. 1 setback for the difficulty of carrying Marni. one boost from Valentyne calling.
But you may trust him a hair less. He's like, yeah, scare left, that's gonna be great. Rock hits you. He's like, no, sorry, I meant right. The Emperor protects.
We are currently at 0 and 5 for me. So in the interest of making sure you have points to eventually be able to spend, I'm going to upgrade one of your difficulty to a red.
Okay.
So now we're at 1 and 4, but unfortunately you can't spend that particular one on this roll.
Did we gain an extra story point in our pool?
We did. Yeah, I rolled them fresh every session. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
I thought they were cool. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. A little better. 3 successes, 2 advantages.
Hey, attaboy. So with that, you fireman, you can describe how it works, but dodging the rocks, how do you get out of here?
I like the idea of putting something up over my head to protect us from the showering rocks and stuff like that. But I think I'm carrying Marni now. Like I've transferred over to my mechanical arm, and I've got my riot shield up over my head.
That makes sense
to me. So it's just like clattering down around over the riot shield, and I just basically, I think with it starting to collapse and stuff like that, that first like wash roll is like trying to get my feet under me, and now I'm like I've got my I was blasted back, right? So it's like I'm up. Now I've got my feet under me, and now I'm just like surging forward and running up this incline.
Yeah, this is just a Publius rain shower, right? It's just
except the rocks aren't irradiated, but yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, small blessings. Praise the Emperor. Yeah. With that, you rush up the incline. Valentyne, you see the two of them kind of rushing toward you. And do you lead the way or do you follow them?
I think he'd follow, because if somebody goes down, he's got to pick them up again. Like he can't, if he runs outside, he's just an injured man alone on an orc planet, which is like the world's worst strategy. So he's invested in these two survival.
Sounds good. So you begin to make your way up through the rocks. And sorry, I just want to clarify a quick rules thing. Laura, I roll the story points at the beginning of every session to find out how many the pool is going to be. I carried over our 2 from last session to this session so that you would have the same amount of decision-making ability from the previous one. Just the overall pool shifted. You still had the same amount, just we had more. So sometimes we'll have more.
I just man, we've had like 4 for like the last 4 sessions.
I figured this was going to be a bit of a hairy one, so it would make sense to have one more floating around.
Cool.
But I also didn't want to rig the deck in your favor, so I gave it to myself.
Right on.
So Valentyne, stumbling out of the caverns as they collapse behind you, you hear the leader of the Nobs just yell a mighty "what?" and he doesn't even get to the "ag" as the rocks crush him, and as the earth itself shifts. You crawl forward onto sweet dirt again. You're back on literally terra firma. The air is fresh. There's a gentle mist rolling across the highlands of Vicodin, and you're in one of those burnt out forests that at one point would have been very lush and green, but now is kind of like the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, which apparently was Mustafar, which makes no sense to me because that's a lava planet. But just like burnt out trees in kind of a classic World War II no man's land kind of way. Behind you, Attikus, grunting with exertion, but in a very I think professional way. Like it's like I feel like Tyler, you're a pretty hardy and hale guy, so it's been a lot of exertion, but it's like watching any pro athlete who's been at it for a while and they're tired, but in a really efficient and functional way. Whereas me, I'm tired and I'm just going to fall over and die now. Whereas you, it's just kind of yes, this has been a long period of being on the basketball court, but I got more ahead. So just, off we go. Yeah. Marni, what do you mutter unconsciously as you're kind of jostled and pulled forward? Laura, you're on mute.
Thanks. Oh, I think without really having an awareness of her surroundings, it's just like a fucking orcs. Kill them, fuck.
Yep.
Praise the Emperor.
As blood rolls down your chin and soaks into the top of your armor. Great. So with that, Valentyne, you lead the party up above ground, and you can feel the ground rumbling, not just from the collapse, but from the orc war trucks that you can see rolling directly towards your position. What do you say?
How far away are they coming towards us? Like, what's our window here, Tom?
They're not like right on you, but they're close to being on you.
All right, well, I believe the first step will be getting the hell out of the way of the war trucks, and the second will be dealing with Marni.
So if they've come out of this, and I'm imagining it's kind of like mountain rangey behind them, or it's trees in front of us, or what's
it's sort of trees on all sides, but you are near, like you're not directly in the path. Like it's not like you open a manhole cover and you're like, oh no, cars in New York. But you're kind of a couple meters away from what seems to be a thoroughfare for these orc war tracks. So they are, I don't know, we'll say 15 meters away. They're not looking at you. It's not like they're like, look at those guys. But you can see them rumbling toward you.
Oh, if they're that close, he's like, we need to hide right now.
Just like fucking find cover. Like, is there a ditch? Is there somewhere they
can
100%.
I mean, the nice thing is this is, again, a burnt out forest. There's enough stuff that you can hide behind. So the three of you quickly duck behind some trees as the vehicles begin to move towards you. And with them, the promise of finally making it to some medical aid. Perhaps saving Marni, maybe saving Valentyne. And in the long run, maybe even saving the Emperor. From a frontline report, Planet Vicodin. Yeah, so the orcs have gotten kind of inventive about the sorts of machines they're using. As with greenskins in general, we kind of expected a few of their normal vehicles, the war tracks and buggies and such, but it would seem they've gotten a little bit inventive with some of their stuff. So all I'm saying is just be on the lookout, because, man, those Snazzwagons pack a punch. You are hiding behind a collection of felled trees, and we'll say like a burnt out, I don't know, like some kind of harvesting machine. Vicodin itself as an imperial world isn't actually that technologically advanced. The plant that produces Glasgow Vicodin's product is, but the society around it isn't. So it's almost you can think like a kind of a medieval machine for helping to take down trees that by imperial standards would actually be very rudimentary. It'd kind of be like, oh, that's cool, you've got an axe on a hinge. That kind of level of like a wood chipper mixed with that kind of thing. It's old and rusted out and kind of covered in greenery because it's been here for a long time. But it's enough cover for the three of you to be safely sheltered from the road. Now, Marni is in critical condition, obviously. She's in bad shape. Your goal right now is to make it to Firebase Charlie, or Forward Operating Base Charlie, to find Dr. Celesti Eris, who Vis remembers as a somewhat business-minded and straightforward doctor who might not be as wrapped up in the bullshit of what's going on.
Easy to ask questions.
Absolutely. Also, Attikus, as someone who keeps a pretty good eye on the people who are efficient and are more focused on making sure the job is done well. You know that this is the kind of doctor you can trust, and your faith in the overall sort of mechanism of this this army and this war has been pretty shaken. So seemingly a trustworthy person. Also, I think the reality of what occurred to you prior to falling into the cavern is now somewhat more real. And it's in a weird way, you're almost on vacation or in Wonderland in that you were underground and things were very different. But now that you're back above ground, the stark reality that the skull crawlers turned on you is somewhat more pressing. But in the meantime, all that matters is getting a vehicle and getting to forward operating base Charlie, FOB Charlie. So the convoy is, again, close, but far enough away that you're able to kind of scurry to safety. Your two most pressing concerns are to get a vehicle, because FOB Charlie is not close. It's close-ish, but it's not close. And you'll have to basically cross the battlefield to get there. Also, both Marni and Valentyne are pretty fucked up. So I would say you have a few moments to plan as the orcs come rumbling towards you. What do you do?
How many vehicles are there?
It's kind of hard to tell. Unfortunately, orc vehicles are bad at not casting like exhaust and kicking up dirt. You can see two war tracks out in front, which are kind of think almost a if you crossed a motorcycle with kind of a flat back. So like essentially there's a driver up front, single wheel, and then tracks behind it with an orc with like a heavy bolter type weapon, so like a big shooter. So there's two of those up front. What Attikus and Marni, well, I mean, Marni's out. Attikus, what you would know is traditionally in an orc convoy, you're going to see war buggies, which are kind of like if you cleave the top off of like a four-wheel dune buggy and again, put a big gun on it and had a little driver with small guns. Mm-hmm. War tracks are glorified bikes, so bikes, but with a flat track behind them. But behind them, you can see larger vehicles. For the three of you, either of these vehicles would be a tight fit, but some of the ones that are clearly in the middle might be a better thing. Plus, again, you're going to have to cut across a war zone in order to get to the FOB. So you won't get a proper look at these until they're a bit closer, unless you want to try and roll me a check. But
yeah, I'll roll a check to see if I can figure out what these vehicles are.
Sure. So are you just using your eyes? Do you have any tech you want to use? What? How do you think you can
see or anything like that?
So
I've got robot eyes if I'm looking, and I would be.
Okay, so then Tyler, let's say you're helping Valentyne. So I guess the scene then is the two of you kind of drag Marni to safety for a moment, and then the two of you confer about how you want to approach this. So let's do that, and then we'll do the roll. And Tyler, I think we'll say that Attikus is assisting Valentyne, who's using his robot eyes to see. But Valentyne, you'd probably have to instruct him on that. So what do you say to him?
Well, clearly we're not equipped to battle an entire convoy, so we're going to need some sort of vehicle towards the end. We need something with an exposed driver, because odds are if we can take out an orc driver, the rest of the convoy will abandon them. They like to go fast. It's one of their primary interests. Something with an exposed gunner would be ideal. It's the trade-off. We need to be able to stop something, but also have it protect us when it continues driving onwards.
Right. Let's see here. Well, we've got some trees we could... are they using roadways, or are they just kind of driving wherever they feel like?
They're driving... It's a roadway in as much as vehicles have clearly driven through it for a while, but okay. It is... it's not a cleared path. Okay. So similar to... I mean, the only real example I have in my head is like a bike trail, where bikes have been through it enough that there's like a bit of a muddy, dirty pathway, but it's certainly not clean. And admittedly, based on the kind of burnt out nature of this forest, there's still trees standing. Like they're bereft of greenery, but there are still trunks everywhere. So creating a blockade of some sort or trying to drop these things is definitely possible. Also, these aren't like what I think we would traditionally think of as a sort of Canadian forest, like big heavy trees. These are kind of smaller, like the only example I have in my head is like a birch, but like you couldn't quite get your hands around it, but it's that smaller trunk tree. So also very easy to just like knock over if you need to. Like this isn't like we have to uproot it and dump it. It's not old growth forest. It's like relatively smallish forest that's been burnt out and stunted by the warfare.
I'm sure Marni's like burnt shit down.
Oh, 100%. And so have the orcs.
Years.
And like, again, like this it really is kind of that, Mud of France situation where it's like, cool, these trees are still up. They're mostly dead. You know?
Right, so they clearly roll through here, this pathway right here. If we knock down a couple of trees, we could perhaps get them to drive single file through a gap and take out one of the vehicles on this side of the blockade while the others move along. Might not even notice.
All right, yes, that's a good plan. If we create some kind of enfilade so they can only go through it single file, the trick will be we can only afford to attack the last or second last vehicle. If we draw the attention of the whole convoy, we are, to put it lightly, completely chucked. There's no point, just chuffed to the end. So Marni can't move, I can't run, and they have vehicles.
On that note, you can run a Medicae check on Marni to help stabilize her if you want. Laura, I am going to need a resilience check from you if you wouldn't mind.
Resilience check, cool.
I'll trust you to do the honors with the convoy. I'll try to keep Marni from bleeding out from the giant axe stuck in her chest.
Yes, sir, you can count on me.
And I'll go to work just like punching trees down.
Okay,
to basically create a choke point so that vehicles can only pass through one at a time.
Love it.
To obscure what's on the other side of these trees so that the last vehicle we attack can't be seen clearly by the ones that have gone through.
Okay. So before we roll the Medicae check, Ryan, what I need from you is a perception check. Difficulty. What do your mechanical eyes do in terms of what's your elf eyes see in terms of?
I remove a challenge dice on perception or vigilance due to environment.
Great. Okay.
I do that for visual and for hearing because I also have robot ears.
I would say my way of helping is in the way that you explained to me, Tom, what these orc convoys typically consist of. I'd be listing those off for him to be able to spot.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. So, Ryan, I was going to give you a difficulty of 4 because of all the like dirt and fire and everything else. Not fire. Just the difficulty of again, the best way to think of this is when you see like the Immortan Joe's convoy in
so the dust cloud.
Road, just dust and like black
and
exhaust,
shit, yeah.
Just like because again, like the orcs are very, very good at slapping stuff together, but they're not like okay, but environmentally speaking. So just a real dirty convoy. So that said, when you click on your optics, a lot of that, like even if it's just heat signatures, you can see very clearly what these things are, but you're also not aware of what's necessarily on the ground. So that's where Attikus comes in. So with your optics, you can drop it to 3.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a boost. So 1 boost from the kind of advice that Attikus is able to give you. I think that's probably it from my end. Anything else you want to argue for?
No, I feel like that's probably it. They'd be too far away to use the aspects or any of the stuff that he'd normally use to help him with any kind of perception. So I think this is just see what he can see. Also, it's not like they get to choose the order they go through the fucking gap. So
Yep, totally.
3 successes, 1 advantage.
Great.
Nice.
Okay, so
can I pass the advantage? Oh no, it costs more than 1 advantage to pass advantage, right?
You can spend an advantage to pass to the next turn.
Great. I would like to.
Yes.
Can I pass the advantage to Tyler? Because from what I've seen of the convoy, he can build a more accurate barricade.
Absolutely. Also, Marni doesn't get a turn, so yes.
Dope.
Technically, you can't pass it to a player, but
am I not going to be resilient?
I mean, yeah, I'm just not counting that as a turn because I'm nice.
Oh, that's
Don't
really
want to
nice.
burn a full turn on like, oh, no, sorry, man. You being like, there's 10 vehicles. And Marni's like, I feel better. This feels good.
I'm not dead yet.
Not dead yet. But in the grim darkness of the future, aren't we all the Walking Dead? Okay, so there are... we're we're going to say 5 vehicles in the convoy. You have 2 war tracks up front. War tracks up front. Again, highly exposed. Not the fastest, but kind of a good support vehicle. Behind them, there's a war buggy for support. Beyond that, you see a fairly armored, the kind of low to the ground vehicle that I think you would probably equate to almost like the kind of vehicle, like almost an armored limo, like the kind of thing that you would imagine VIPs traveling around in worlds where ground travel is more common than skimmers. And behind that is a final war buggy kind of protecting the armored vehicle. From a quick analysis standpoint, Valentyne, all of these are fairly exposed. One of your concerns is if you have to cut across the battlefield, you'll likely be taking fire from both the imps and from the orcs. So armored vehicles, the best case, it is the second last vehicle. So you'd have to also deal with the war track behind it. But odds are that would be your best chance for getting yourself, who's pretty badly wounded, and the unconscious woman through.
So I think he'd lay out some kind of clear orders then on the scale of things, which is like, we got to set up the barricade.
But I'd like to make an addition to this plan, Attikus. Is there a way where you could perhaps fold it in? Let's just say, design a barricade that we could shut completely to trap vehicles on our side and split them off from their protectors. Because if we could leave the armored vehicle, I think the back vehicle is just going to be, for lack of a better term, a problem. But we could storm the war truck. So let the armored vehicle come in, trap it so it's with us, leave the others on the other side. We storm, we take it, we take the war buggy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we could do something like that. I don't see why I can't just set up the barricade, wait off to the side, and then punch it closed, so to speak.
Wonderful.
When the time comes. Now, just so I'm clear, which vehicle do we want to procure, and which one do we want to make sure can't follow us?
So we need to let the convoy pass through. There are 2 war tracks in the front. They go through. There is a war buggy of some kind. It goes through. Then we shut it. We want to take the, for lack of a better term, armored, I don't know, orcmo, if we want to use limousine, but in a term of orcs, an orcazine. That's ours. We want to ride that because we can put ourselves inside it and remain safe. Then there is an exposed war buggy. My thought is, shut it. I will shoot the gunner on the war buggies so that we don't get hit with whatever their equivalent of heavy bolter fire is. And then you can storm towards the limo and I'll come from my side in some sort of pincer movement.
Attikus, you would recognize what he's describing as a Boomdakka Snazzwagon, which is unfortunately on this planet, because of Vicodin's operation, a not uncommon sight. Which is a repurposed luxury vehicle that has been retrofitted. And yes, from your experience, like it's as close to a tank as a car can get. So a good, also heavily armored, heavily armed as well. So a good bet. Also not something you want chasing you. So that tracks. In terms of numbers, just to make this easier for us, the war tracks are 1 and 2, so they're the first 2 vehicles. They're riding side by side. Vehicle number 3 is the war buggy, which is the 4x4 all-terrain. Just a fucking think a orc equivalent of a warthog in Halo.
Yes.
It's a flatbed truck with a 50 cal on the hood. That's all it is. They're super simple vehicles.
Yeah, with like all-terrain tires. So like, the war tracks are closer to like if you cut the back off a motorcycle and added like a rear red wagon or like part of a flatbed. Super simple. The war buggy is a bit bigger, a little more all-terrain, a little more like a warthog. And then the Boomdakka Snazzwagon is an armored limo with a big gun on top. So 4 and 5 are the 2 targets you're trying to take. 4 is the one you want to drive. 5 is the one you want to neutralize. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great.
So the rough assault plan, unless you've got any notes, Attikus, you lock it shut. I'll shoot the gunner on the war buggy.
Then you storm in on the first one, close up, and I'll come in from our side. We need to take the vehicle out quickly. Unfortunately, closer is better when they are heavily armed.
Close is best, in my opinion.
A man after my own heart. I do have a strange suggestion for this, and I apologize for this in advance, but orcs are more likely to be less involved if they believe we are orcs. So instead of your usual battle cries, please replace the word emperor with gork and mork. And instead of other battle cries, if you could just yell a good old wha as you storm in. Perhaps that could buy us a few seconds as they believe you are an orc yourself.
Wah.
Whoa.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I could do that.
Wonderful.
What is it good for? Specifically this.
Yeah, we'll be back for the regular infantry primer materials later, but for now, we will pretend to be orcs.
Oh, wow.
I just want to give Ryan full points for wheatening his hua.
Now, go set up the barricade. I need to keep Marni from dying.
Yeah, Marni, go ahead and roll that check, please.
All right, what's my difficulty?
You've been unconscious now for 3 rounds. So the last one was 3. We're going to make this one 4.
The last one was 2.
Oh, then this one's 3. Great.
Cool.
I was hoping it was. I just didn't write it down. So I was like,
Can I is the plasma gun like broken and still in my hands, or did it get like
It exploded.
it exploded?
if you want to think about it as like it was attached to your backpack through like that heavy cable that attaches it to the power source. When the gun blew, that's just like a flapping cable now. So
Okay.
Why do you ask?
I was just wondering if I can like add something just for like Marni kind of like drifting and kind of feeling her empty hands and just like this like rage that her plasma gun is not with her.
I mean, I kind of love that. So sure. You again, we've established like you're mortally injured, but you're also a tank. So like you're just drifting like on the edge of consciousness. And I think maybe we'll say that your like end game was always I'll just overload the gun and like that'll be my you defeated me, but go fuck yourself moment.
Yeah.
So you're just feeling around for it and your hand closes around a broken tube. And it fills you with rage.
Yeah.
So you need to get back up so you can punch an orc to death before you die.
Yeah, 100%.
So sure, yeah, let's give you 1 boost for that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Love it. Very good, Laura.
All right, rolling. 1 success, 1 advantage.
Great. Okay. What are you at wound wise right now?
I mean, like,
0.
Yeah, I got nothing left. I'm like 3 beyond my threshold.
So -3.
That ain't great.
-3, yeah.
Okay. So I think what we'll say instead then is we can pass 1 boost forward to Ryan on his Medicaid roll because
Cool.
Of your unending rage and your desire to come back from the grave to be mad. Cool. So Ryan, go ahead and roll Medicaid, please. Difficulty is going to be 3 because that's how many rounds she's been out. You get a boost for her rage.
Nice.
Is there anything else you want to make a case for?
I do have my auspex, which can be used to scan things nearby to spot issues or problems or whatever. Could I use that in a way that would assist with this? It wouldn't solve the problem, but it would help me ID problems or at least prioritize theoretically.
In this case, I'm going to say no, because the way I've always conceived of the auspices since I painted them back in the day is, and I think we've talked about this as less a Star Trek tricorder and more like a battlefield awareness piece. I don't think running it over her body would help much. Also, her problem is very clear. It's the choppa buried deep into her chest. So the good news is you don't need to run a bunch of diagnostics on that because like...
Yeah, but I can't take it out.
No. But it does mean that you're not trying to ascertain the problem. But also, sense. I just also want to stay as true as we can to like 40K tech being weird. And I imagine there would be an auspice that could likely do this.
Yeah,
I just don't think it would
that
be
makes
yours.
sense to me.
That said, I would maybe give you a boost for using Eugene as essentially like your medical aid, hovering around, and like weirdly, I feel like a servo skull would likely be helpful in this, even if it's just handing you shit in a way an Auspix wouldn't. So you can take 1 boost for Eugene if you want to bring him out.
Yeah, he'd be fine with that because I mean, his like they're clear of enemy for now. So yes, he'd use whatever he could to try to keep her kicking.
Cool. So take one boost for Eugene.
Great. What's our story point situation?
We are sitting, I believe, at 1 in 4 in my favor.
Oh, hard pass. I'm not using that. We're just going to see what happens. Also, Valentyne's not great at Medicaid. He's never been great at Medicaid. We're not going to make him great at Medicaid. We're just going to see what happens.
I'm going to burn 1 to upgrade your dice because I don't want to sit on these for too long. We'll say that one is specifically around the fact that you can't actually address the main issue, which is the blade in her.
The giant axe in the human.
So it's, All
right, let's see what happens here. Marni, I'm sorry about this. I don't entirely know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do the best. And you know what? The Emperor always demands the best. And that's why I'm feeling pretty good about how this is going to go. 1 success, 1 advantage.
As you begin to futz with this, you remember watching Alto work with Dr. Cleaver, and you kind of... even though he's gone, you have kind of a brief moment of the Emperor always puts the right people in the right place in the right time. You're able to delay death by futzing around. So, Laura, your next check will be at the same difficulty as this one was. So it hasn't gotten worse, but it also hasn't got better, if that makes sense.
All right.
Tom.
Yes, sir.
As he's looking at her and he's going through this and dealing with everything, over that process, I would like to have removed her backpack so he could see like the injuries better and that kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks at the backpack and he goes, "Oh my God, Emperor, I can't believe this. Marni, you're going to hate this later, but you're asleep right now. And I hope you'll be awake to hate me." And he runs over to Attikus. He's like, "Do you ever watch Throne Ball?"
No.
Okay, well, have you ever heard of the fastball special? It's when someone throws something and then someone else shoots it and then it explodes.
Oh, yeah, we got something like that here, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Inside this backpack is a plasma generator. And you know what we need to do? Destroy a war buggy. What I'm thinking is, drop your thing, barricade comes down, you toss it, I shoot it, boom, boom, no more war buggy, storm the limo. We take it, Snazzwagon, whatever the fuck, off we go.
Well, that's inspired, so I bloody love it.
And I love you. Now, you take this. The Emperor loves us all. Let's be orcs. Hide well. And then he'll just like flash a sign of the Aquila and then dash back over to like really fucking hide Marni and himself.
Okay, hang on a hot second here. What does flashing the sign with the Aquila look like? You kind of held your hands up in like a
well, I mean, here's the problem, Tom. Canonically, no one's ever described it well enough.
But people throw up the sign of the Aquila in novels?
Yeah, all the time. They even sometimes they just flash the wing and they talk about just doing this as a religious sign, which is half the Aquila.
Okay, well, I like Laura's.
If it's up to me, I think it's thumbs crossed
at the end
with the
of
two
fucking
heads.
Gangster's Paradise.
Yeah.
Okay, love it.
For me, I cross the thumbs because I think it gives you 2 heads.
Look, yeah, I dig that. All I'm saying is I'm very proud of us for being the first live-action Warhammer 40K Aquila sign throw-up. When they do it in the Eisenhorn series, we can all be like, okay, we did it first. And then Games Workshop sues us into the ground. We disappear. But till then,
yeah.
Love it. Okay, great. So you throw up the sign of the Aquila. Just wanted to clarify that because I was like, what? And you go to take your places.
Oh, yeah. For people who know nothing, the symbol of the Imperium is a 2-headed eagle. It's kind of Nazi-ish, which is not great, but it's a hand equivalent of that.
Because they're space fascists. We've established this. Yeah. It's in the logo of the show if you need to find it. And for those of you just listening, not watching, the visual version we've come up with is crossing your hands with your fingers together so they look a little bit like wings. And then your thumbs are like the little heads of the eagle. It actually works really well.
Yeah,
it's just the first time Ryan did it, he did
chest.
it below his mic, and it looked like he was throwing like a weird like Weezer logo up. Like it wasn't
just a
West
W.
Side.
Yeah,
it was just like W with wings. And I was like, I hope that's it.
It's because I was gonna do it, and I realized I was just gonna hit my mic completely out of frame if I tried. So we solved it.
So the moral of the story is praise the Emperor. All's well that ends well. I need stealth checks from both you boys because the orcs are distracted. So this isn't like a hard check, but it is something we need to sort out. We're gonna say difficulty of 2. They would be on the lookout, but also this is a pretty standard, like you're behind enemy lines, so it's their territory. Actually, I'm going to drop this to a 1. You're behind enemy lines, it's their territory, and this is a place they drive through constantly without harassment. The 1 is really only because Marni has created enough of a boogeyman story that they're worried about Schwartzenberger just being here somewhere.
Cool.
You have 2 story points
for Valentyne.
for you guys.
To try to pitch, I think Valentyne would set himself and Marni up so that they'd look like corpses beside the road. So even if they did get spotted, people would just be like, dead humans.
Cool. I'll give you a boost for that. I'll also give you a boost for your auspics in this case because ping, 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 beep, beep, beep. They're in the vents.
We get time to know.
Attikus, I'm going to give you a boost just for you've been on this battlefield for a bit. You know this sort of stuff. This is actually like a weirdly normal day for you. So it's actually a fairly common maneuver. Is there anything else you would argue for on your roll?
I was thinking the finishing touch on the barricade would be to set it on fire.
Nice.
Sort of a Joker convoy flaming fire truck situation.
You had me at Joker convoy flaming fire truck.
My hope is that draws the eye away from any shortcomings in Attikus's camouflage.
Okay. So unclear about how the barricade's going to work. You want to set the barricade on fire before
it's basically a flaming funnel. So you don't want to drive through it or touch it or anything like that because it's fire. But there is like negative space between it that you can go through single file.
And then the plan will be to drop a final piece down to block them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you justify the fire? Not in terms of how Attikus would set it, but for I guess it's a war zone, so it could just be like, here's random fire. Because like on Joker barricade, it's like, well, the Joker set these fires to bottleneck us. Would you try and do anything to make it seem random, or are you just committed to like, there's just fire here?
No, I would say, I would assume that the day-to-day lives of orcs is chaotic enough that random fire is not.
Nope, I love it. Works for me.
Not something like hold up.
Okay, great.
This fire wasn't here yesterday.
Otacon, I'm standing around some fires. I need full support from my orcs I have in my earpiece. Okay, great. Sure, I'd buy that.
All right. Does that confer any additional advantage?
Absolutely. So give yourself another boost.
Does that apply to both of us because it's a giant fire?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yay.
I think that's probably it from my end then.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I get.
I don't got a lot going on, so I'm hoping those boosts
Tyler, you do have 2 story points if you want to use them. I think
I'm about to need them for if this goes wrong.
We have to fight multiple vehicles full of orcs. I've got
in that case. Oh, go ahead. You already rolled. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I got 2 success and 3 advantage for Marni and I.
Okay.
I got 3 advantages, 1 failure.
Ooh. Okay. So the orc convoy comes rolling through, just blasting cool orc tunes out of their I guess given orc parlance, speakers. So they're listening to like a Carly Rae Jepsen song that's like vaguely orcified. It's really upbeat. Honestly, the orcs know how to party. So they're driving through, and the 2 war tracks up at the front come through one at a time. But the second war buggy is starting to come through, and as the war tracks kind of continue on, the buggy actually stops in the bottleneck. And you hear someone say, "Hang on, everyone, hang on. Sorry, it's me, Zigzag Zork from Firewatch. It's very important to the boss that we make sure that there aren't just random fires here. So I'm just gonna stay and put out the fire. You boys go on ahead. I'm sorry, buds. You're gonna have to hang on a second. Just gonna put these fires out, okay? Okay. This is. Wait a minute. Who the fuck is that?"
Tree down buggy in the barricade. If he's the last guy before the vehicle we need, crushing him. I don't give a fuck.
On the subject of Boomdakka Snazzwagons from a captured orc design document. All right, so I'm thinking we had some armor plates on top of the armored plates, because, yo, dog, I heard you liked armored plates, so I'm thinking we put some armored plates on the armored plates. And then I'm thinking a big gun for shooting, like a big shooter. I'm thinking maybe a mech special, so we can make the pew-pew-pews that will make our enemies go kaboom and oh God, my insides on my outsides, and I'm dead. So this is my dream. I just need you to get me a car first that I could do this to. Okay? Okay. And a big red stamp that says, "Oi, approved." Attikus, you punch a tree. Fuck that tree, you Fern Gully motherfucker. Down it goes, crashing on the war truck. Unfortunately, because you've been seen, you are under fire. So I need you to roll, please, a...
So you mean he's under fire?
Yes. Thank you, Laura. Yes.
F-I-Y-A.
Yeah. It's just a regular festival of fire.
So I love freaking orc talk. Right.
It's the best. They're the best. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll just roll against you rather than making you roll dice. That seems like a thing I can do. So 1 second as I pull this up. And Tyler, I'm going to say, because you were caught while trying to be stealthy, this unfortunately isn't a situation where you can pop the shield immediately. It's more of a Metal Gear. So Genesys died.
But you did drop a tree on a truck, which is pretty dope. So I feel like if you had to choose, you made the right tactical
choice. This shakes out correctly for all involved. Okay, so the orcs are firing with right. So they've gone to... I'm going to spend 1 story point to give myself some boosts here.
Tyler, what be your defense from ranged?
1.
1, so that's 1 setback for me. Okay, and I'm going to give you 1 boost, 1 setback for me because there's fire everywhere. Cool, so I'm rolling 2 green, 1 yellow against 3 purple, 2 black. Currently, we're sitting at 3 and 2 in terms of story points. Tyler, did you want to spend 1 to make this harder for the orcs who are shooting?
No, I'm going to need it in a minute for another thing, so...
1 success, 1 threat. So that is going to be 9 damage minus whatever your soak is.
Ooh.
But you will get, you or Ryan, whoever acts first, will get 1 point of boost to your next roll because they rolled a threat. So the tree comes down, hits the war buggy. I'm going to need you, please, to roll me a melee light difficulty of 2. No, I'm going to say difficulty 1 because you're just punching a thing you'd already set up. you can add a boost for this being the plan. I'm going to add 1 setback for being shot at. The orcs sound like dogs.
Borks. You heard it here, folks. Borks.
So yes, after the sound of borks, as you pointed out so aptly, Tyler, yes, you have your dice pool. And this is for not regardless the tree goes down, we're just determining how much damage it does to the war track when it does.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, the war
roll.
buggy.
Yeah,
go ahead and roll.
Yeah, okay. These are the kinds of rolls I'm expecting, okay? This is what I want. That's 8 successes, 1 triumph.
Describe what happens.
It's a large, like, top-heavy tree, and it drops. And how much, like, carte blanche do I have here, Tom?
This buggy ain't surviving this turn, so full carte blanche.
Great.
The blanchest of all carts.
The ground where the tree, like, slams into the buggy is actually somewhat unstable due to the cave-in that occurred below, and the earth just opens up and the buggy drops.
Amazing. The good news is the tracks have continued to drive. They've got a mission. They're following the instructions of that very polite orc who just died. All he wanted to do was prevent forest fires. So yeah, the track falls into the cavern. Deep underground, crawling forward with a metallic claw. The Nob champion has a single-minded purpose of he's been hit by rocks, he's watched his friends die, and he will find and kill that woman. And then suddenly, like, the war track just crashes into him and crushes him, and together they all tumble down into the abyss, Balrog and Gandalf style. It's a bad day to be a knob. Great. So with that, the trap is sprung. It is perhaps even better than you intended because now there's a sinkhole. They will say it's caved in, so it's not like just a gaping hole into the distance, into like the depths of the earth. But has taken out that war buggy entirely. Has also created an impassable thing. So you watch the Boomdakka Snazzwagon step on the gas and just smash directly into this and kind of tilt up awkwardly. And you hear a lot of orcish cries about stability. Valentyne, what do you do?
Valentyne will pop his refractor field because he doesn't want to die.
You don't say.
Yeah, and he'll also, I guess he'll take aim and shoot the gunner on the war buggy that will now be aiming directly away from him. So turning whatever protection it had to shoot at Attikus, he would just like to.
And like it had like a capital T's worth of like, cover.
Yeah.
Like it was little to begin with, but sure, go ahead. We're gonna say you're close enough because obviously you wouldn't spring a trap like far away from you for something like this. No. So this is a difficulty of 2. It's fairly close. You have currently 3 story points available to you. I'm gonna give you an extra point of boost based on the fact that the woods are on fire and a buggy just disappeared, which is very distracting. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's any setback from my end because you're just literally shooting a guy in the back while he looks at a distracting thing.
Yeah, let's roll them bones. Let's see what happens here.
Like, generally speaking, if I feel like me as Tom McGee, a human who's never shot a gun, could make that shot based on how easy it is, I shouldn't really penalize a professional.
1 success and 3 advantage.
Pop. So I assume you're going to activate your critical with either the triumph or your advantage.
Yeah, I'll activate the crit because that takes 2. So yeah, I'll burn my
2 advantage or just 1 triumph. You can burn the triumph to do it automatically.
Oh, it's 3 advantage is a triumph?
No, the triumph is just better.
I have 1 success and 3 advantage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a triumph.
No.
Never mind.
So I'll use 2 of my advantage to pop that crit.
This is the right call. Okay. Explain what happens to the orc on the gun.
I think it's finally he's in position. He's had a chance to aim. Valentyne can go back to the training that he's always had, and it's nice because he's prone. Like he's in position as he was back in the asteroid, Scala Progenium back in the day. Then he's just imagining his instructor's voice in his ear. It's just tight groupings of 3, boy. Tight groupings of 3. That's how you put down the Emperor's foes. And he's just like having a pleasant moment, and he looks over at Eugene and winks like he did back in the day. And then it's just 3 gentle squeezes, not pulls, of the trigger. And he just hits him in a textbook triangle. It's just torso, head. Just almost
the John Wick special.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
And then the orc just falls down, but his hands are still on the trigger. So it does that thing where the gun and the pintle mount's just shooting into the air. So
great. As the gun begins to fire into the air, Tyler, you yell your trademark battle cry based on what Valentyne told you. And what do you do?
I shout, "For Mork and Gork!" Bwah! And I will overhand throw the satchel containing the was it a plasma pack?
Plasma pack, yeah. So gonna need athletics from you there, dude. Ryan, you have 1 remaining advantage.
yes.
So add 1 boost, Tyler, to your throw. We're gonna say this is a difficulty of like you're just trying to get it close enough to shoot, right? Like he's not trying to like land it on the vehicle and then you're going to shoot it. You're just trying to use it as
he just needs it somewhere near enough the explosion will catch the vehicle and Valentyne can shoot it. That's the whole goal.
Yeah. So this is a difficulty of 1. It's a plasma pack. You can get it close enough. Kaboom. I'm going to give you 1 boost for the fun of getting to pretend to be an orc. I think you like fighting, so it's just a nice moment of like, right, I'm about to do this cool thing. In you go. That's all I got. Anyone want to spend anything?
Nope.
No, I already passed the advantage, which I think will just be from a slackening of fire. Like the war buggy is now shooting into the air and the driver gets sprayed with goo and looks back instead of shooting at you as inaccurately as orcs normally do. But it's just the gun keeps shooting, but it's like drifting to the right away from you as he looks back to see his gunners down.
Sounds good. All right, Tyler, go ahead.
5 successes, 4 advantages, 1 triumph.
I think you might put it in the buggy.
That's bad. We can't shoot it now.
So you toss it and it's a perfect lob. In slow motion, the plasma pack just sort of arcs through the air, and Valentyne, having just shot the gunner, you start to raise your gun, and I think you're in full Han Solo. Like you've got the stabilizing arm out. Like this is such an important shot to have to make. But Attikus Vis is really fucking good at this. And as the plasma pack arcs through the air, the dead orc on the gimbaled gun just continues to drift to the side. And right as the pack arcs kind of into the vehicle, the big shooter turns, firing wildly, and hits it. And as a result, at point blank, the war track explodes in a burst of plasmatic energy that blasts the Boomdakka Snazzwagon into the sinkhole. So just like cranks up on that hilarious 45-degree angle, which is good because it throws everyone inside forward. And the mech special, which is a tremendously big shooter on top, the gunner bashes his head off the gun and is clearly dazed. So to be clear, what this thing looks like, this is a proper Mad Max wagon with armor on it. So 4 big studded wheels. There was a grot with a little metal grate in his face, strapped to the front, but he just got crushed by the weight of the vehicle. The mech special is a weird chain gun flamer combo weapon up on top with a guy on the gun. And then there's kind of a driver leaning out of one side. Honestly, it's the vehicles we kind of imagine for Avernus. This is a full armored Mad Max limo. But the explosion has knocked all of them forward, so you have an opportunity. Valentyne, you realize you can actually stop aiming because it's all on fire. Praise the Emperor. What do you do?
I think he just shifts because the only like hardcore danger right now is the gunner on the like big chain gun thing getting undazed. So he just wants to pace that guy exactly the same way. Like if they can take out the gunners, they can deal with other shit up close safely.
Cool. So go ahead and roll for that. This is going to be a difficulty of 2, just because there's enough shit in the way that it's a bit hard. But also they've come to a dead stop and are doing that awkward like
teeter
thing. So I'm going to give you 1 point of setback for the teeter.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you a boost for him being dazed by the outrageously successful roll Tyler just made.
Cool. And I aimed, so that gives me another boost, right? Because I'm still prone. Dope. Let's see what happens. It's 1 success.
What's the damage on your pistol?
That'll be 11 damage.
Oh yeah, that's enough. So the orc gunner sits back up and goes, "Oh, I came up here for this," and then the bullet hits him and explodes, blasting off the side of his head, leaving the vehicle empty. Marni, you hear sort of a jumble of voices in the darkness, seeming to say with multiple tones, "Do you want vengeance on the orcs?"
Oh, obviously. That's it.
Puns. Good. Well, perhaps if you let us in, we could help.
Who are you?
People who want to help you get revenge on the orcs.
Are you an orc?
No. I want to kill the orcs with you.
How do I know? This is the truth.
Go ahead and roll a... what's it
I love
gonna
Schwarzenegger as JFK.
It's like a super JFK.
No,
yeah.
and like
Nothing bad ever happened to a Schwarzenegger.
Car flips and explodes.
I'm not even pretending to do Schwarzenegger anymore.
You're doing Schwarzenberger.
Yeah, exactly.
And the skeletons are part of it. You're just your own thing. I'm trying to think what this would be. I think this is definitely like a you trying to understand.
Maybe streetwise cunning?
Yeah, maybe. I'm actually leaning more towards the social skills side of things.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, you know what?
negotiation?
No. Give me vigilance. Because I think literally the only thing Marni Schwartzenberger would be worried about is, are you an orc? Are you trying to take advantage of me because you're an orc? So it's less about like, are you trying to deceive me? And more, is this on side?
Stop showing me up on the accent.
Please. Laura, I know you edit these shows, but give Blood and Syrup a listen and come fucking tell me how I do on accents.
Okay. What's my difficulty?
I'm gonna say 2. You're pretty suspicious because you're unconscious and dying.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think Marni. I think there are people who would be susceptible to stuff like this. I don't think Marni is one of those people because she's so literal about it. It's a little bit like
voice in her head coming from.
Well, I mean, admittedly, you're just kind of in like an unconscious void, so it's less like you're walking around and this is happening.
I don't think she's going to.
But you're also just
she
not.
Can't see though.
But I mean, you even saw Valentyne and were untrustworthy, despite him being clearly human and being like, "I'm with the Emperor," and you're like, "But are you an orc?" So I like this. So we'll say, actually, Laura, I'm going to drop it to a 1. Okay. I think these sorts of tactics aren't particularly good on you. I'm going to give you a setback from just being unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm also sorry. I'm going to give you a boost because you actually have a holy mission now. So I think if this had happened to you in the caves, this might be a more possible thing. But realistically, you have a mission. You have an Inquisitor, and you're going to save the Emperor. So if this isn't just like, "Hi, I'm here to help you save the Emperor," in which case you'd be like, "Let's go."
Yeah.
This is more like this doesn't seem related to my goals.
Yeah.
Spooky voice picked a bad lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. I can
that's
roll.
it.
Okay. Oh, weird. 3 advantages, 1 failure.
That is weird.
Okay. Wow. That's an interesting roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Marni, you don't buy this. This doesn't sound like something you want. What do you say to this voice in this dark void of trying to not die that you're in?
Fuck. This is like I honestly, like, even though I want to say something cool, I think this is kind of just like she's almost having like a mental stare down.
Yeah.
Of this person, and she's kind of it's almost like a Marge, like.
We've determined that every time we hug the dog, she makes that noise. So now we just call it marging. So you should be like, "I'm going to Moe's with the boys," and Ripley's like. So okay, yeah, I buy that. That makes sense to me. Okay. So you marge at the voice, and then suddenly your eyes spring open. And as you feel excruciating pain.
Yeah.
But you see the world around you, a world that makes sense, that doesn't exist in like a weird metaphysical space. You just hear, "You're welcome, and remember, there's always more where this came from." And Marni, you find yourself awake, and you scream. Laura, you want to say something?
I was supposed to say, "Who are you? Where are you? What are you? Why?"
It's good. Tyler, are you cutting off the W's?
Yeah. I was like,
good man.
Just from beside us is Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, a human.
Wait,
now because of the Emperor.
Ryan, do you say that, or does Eugene just spit that out as like a recording at her? Because I kind of like the idea that it's like,
oh yeah, I think Eugene can handle that. Yeah, I think there's enough rudimentary intelligence in there that it just goes out. It's the same voice, but sort of a little bit more digital and flat.
Yeah, I would say it's your voice. You recorded it as like if I ever need Eugene to explain who I am.
Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, human, here now for the Emperor.
Great. So Marni, I'm going to say you're awake with still -3 health. You're still in bad shape, but you are now conscious in the world. Yeah. There's no possible consequence from this moving forward. You'll be fine. Okie dokie. So Valentyne, you shot the orc in the back. He's down. I think we can drop out of initiative order now. And
was there a driver, or was it the driver in the room?
There is a driver, but I think we can drop out of order for like he's fighting back, because it's one of those awkward situations where like the Boomdakka Snazzwagon is so well armored that it's literally him being like, "Oh fuck," and like working the door and like reaching for a pistol. Like it's one of those weird situations that seems to happen a lot in like if you're taking out the mob boss in a movie situations where it's like the people who are supposed to defend the thing are dead. So now it's the guards inside trying to figure out how to defend it. But by this point, like I feel like Attikus would be rushing. So Tyler, tell me what you do to neutralize this car. Because I think Valentyne, given that you just shot 2 people at distance, That's kind of your...
Yeah, he'll be coming in, but Attikus will get there first and on his own, no question.
And honestly, he's the guy with the fucking key to the car door, which is his giant metal fist.
Or just a hand cannon through a
Tyler,
window.
what do you do?
Options.
You're telling this guy's trying to open the door?
He's trying to open the door while reaching for a gun. So it's like one of those awkward, like, fuck.
I let him, like any part of him that comes out of the doorway, I am slamming the door on that part of him.
Are you booting it or punching it? Just for visual. Great.
Yeah.
So like a mean fucking orc just like leans out the door, and in his mind, he's just like, okay, just like in training, door open, 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, 2 in the chest, 1 in the... Ow, my fingies! As you just like punch the door shut on him. And he stumbles out holding his hand, just completely like pulped, blood rushing down his arm.
I just start dooring his head until it's not head shaped anymore.
Yep. From vegetation he began, to vegetation he returns. As the pulped orc falls inside, there's a guy just holding the wheel and looking at you.
Oh, he's next. The Emperor has no mercy for orcs. No.
So the camera cuts outside, and we just see like an orc get tossed, Hulk style through the air, just like into the trees. And there's a classic like smash, hit the ground. Valentyne, you kind of look back and just see like a pin cushion from all the jagged branches unmoving. Because I feel like if he was moving, you'd probably go coup de grace, but he's done. And at your feet, Marni is screaming journalistic questions.
Yes, Marni, we all know the answers, but first we've got to save this vehicle from falling into a chasm. And he'll just head over to try to help balance shit out.
Before you do that, can you roll me a perception check? Difficulty of 2. You're pretty distracted.
Okay, this is a weird one, Tom. 3 advantages, 1 triumph, 2 failures. I don't even know how that's possible, but it's what the die roll told me.
Be like several failures and then...
How many advantage?
3.
Okay. For a second, as Marni looks at you, it looks like she's got Charlo Copti eyes from the end of District 9, just like yellow, vertically slitted, like nightmare eyes. And you immediately feel your like bolt pistol rising, but then you blink and they're gone. And she's just looking at you with normal eyes. Admittedly, like haunted, like 1,000-yard stare, like Marty Schwartzenberger eyes, but still like regular human eyes. I'm gonna say based on that roll, we haven't talked too much about this because we've been kind of go aside from the weird like downtimes from travel. But there is a part of you that is worried that you're chaos touched now from your experience of the visions. You're not a psyker, so like. I think as you blink it out, you worry less that it's her and more that it might be you. And with a bit of a wary expression, you turn to go help Attikus.
Yeah, I think that'd be it. Because I mean, he's pretty ironclad in his like self-belief, but at the same time, yeah, he could be seeing things. He doesn't have proof. He also has no allies. Like, as always, it comes down to like the survival equation.
Well, but I also think
a world
like,
with Marni is better than a world without.
And you blink your eyes a couple times, and then she's just staring at you with a blade in her chest. So, like, I think because you were not privy to her having a mental conversation, you would just be like, that, meh. And also, she legitimately is fine now. So you're not sure whether you saw something or whether it was nothing.
It becomes that classic inquisitorial question mark. If you're more useful than this problem right now, we'll do math on this.
And also,
later.
I'm bleeding to death and have been seeing visions of a future, and like there's some weird shit afoot. Great. So you go to help dear sweet Attikus with the Boomdakka Snazzwagon. You find just a beautiful vehicle of chaos and destruction, ready to rock. The music is still blaring, just like Carly Rae, Orkson just blasting through the air. You're able to drag Marni in, get her kind of tucked in. Marni, obviously, you're conscious but not that helpful. So I think basically what I would like from you in this upcoming sequence is you can make arguments for boost dice. Okay. You're kind of too out of it to help too much, but you might be able to be like, look out, and point.
Yeah.
My question for Attikus and Valentyne is one of you has to drive and one of you can take the mech special. To be clear, that is MEK SPESHUL. So the mech special, which is the combo weapon on top, it has enough of a cockpit under it that you can like duck back and in, which the guy who eventually manned it was doing, because obviously if you'd seen a guy hanging out on top of a turret, you would have shot him first. But you can think of this a bit like a World War II bomber plane situation where like there are guns that people are on all the time. This is one of those guns that you can pop out and man, but it does expose you. So one of you can take the gun, one of you has to drive. Who's going to do what?
I think Valentyne would drive because he's more injured and it's more armored.
Yeah, that'd be Attikus's assessment as well. With the caveat that Attikus would add, like, I'm not much of a heavy gunner, sir, but I do believe you'll be safer here behind the wheel than up there on the guns, eh?
Well, and I'll tell you right now, neither am I. So if someone's going to improvise, I feel like you're a punchier, stronger fella than myself, and orc guns are known for having a bit of a kick.
All right.
So with that, Valentyne, you toss your Auspics back to Attikus, given that I feel like, given how common the Auspics is in the Imperium, it would be the kind of thing where it's like, if anything's going to give you an advantage, it's this. And Attikus, I like to imagine you very delicately arranging it on your like gun dashboard. Like it isn't like a jam it in. It's kind of like a, how can I wedge this thing? I also just like, given how blunt Attikus is about a bunch of things, but also the fact that he wears glasses and doesn't have like weird eye ogs. It's like, there are certain moments of just like, right, I'm going to go make sure this works.
Yeah.
So you arrange it. You look down at the guns, easy enough. Trigger means go. You've got yourself a flamer, got yourself a chain gun. And in the distance on the Auspics, punching in a couple of quick military signatures, you get a ping of where FOB Charlie is. Across no man's land on both sides, you hear a siren start to blare in the distance, and you hear the roar of orc war tracks behind you. It would seem that your actions, given that you blew up a mine and then blew up a plasma pack, may have been noticed. There are orcs coming for you, and Valentyne, looking through the what little you can see around the like massive frontal intake and like the tiny slit, you see a flash of red above the trees as Red Baron, who killed your friends, arcs into view. It's time to get back behind the gentle embrace of the Imperial. It's time to go find the Emperor, and it's time to get the fuck out of enemy territory with fighter planes circling and orcs on your tail. Attikus, what do you yell to Valentyne?
I stomp my foot and say, orcs incoming, sir. Better get a move on.
And then to himself, as he like familiarizes himself with like the gear shift of the controls, Valentyne's going, well, I started the day with everyone dead, and in the end, now I've got 2 allies, my own vehicle, and hope for the future. The Emperor really does protect. And then he just hits the gas as hard as he can and like peels out.
And Marni, drifting in and out of consciousness, but more in consciousness than out, what do you yell as you're thrown back into your seat as the car lurches forward? And with that, the Valentyne Heresy became rather fast and rather furious.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter as Attikus Vis, Laura Elizabeth at EL Hamstring on Twitter as Marni Schwartzenberger, and our Game Master Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's show logo was created by Decapitated Markers at Decapitated Marker on Twitter. That's MRKR. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ads use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, provided by freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. We have merchandise available at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, and most importantly, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lord Abradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.